The third studio album from the Pennsylvania-based punk rock pop emo outfit Modern Baseball delivers an album that's mired in the theme of falling in and out of love, losing loved ones along the way in life, whether these are physical relationships, friends or family members, mixed with hope and sadness. This album comes off as highly real, genuine, and doesn't fall into the trap of becoming another whiny, woe is me, miserable or self-loathing emo album that's enough to make you want to retch. It's a surprisingly enjoyable 11-track project that's kept compact and contained at under half an hour in length. Rather ingeniously, the album is split, with the first 6 tracks being written and performed by Jacob Ewald and the last 5 tracks being written and performed by Brendan Lukens. Opening up the album is the sub 1 minute titular track, which is a simple acoustic guitar led piece that's about lead singer Jake Ewald's late grandfather and how he believes that his spirit is haunting him from the other side, potentially berating Ewald for getting into a seemingly messy state that he's currently in. The song ends with a short electric guitar piece which transitions into the next track, Wedding Singer, which paints Ewald in the midst of a depressed funk after his lover has left him, leaving him all alone in their home despite promising to make more of an effort to be a better person. It has a nice guitar melody opening the song with a constant rhythm guitar, drums, underlying bass guitar and hints of keyboards as well. It's a lively track and one of this album's highlights. The next track, Note to Self, is a much more personal song regarding band member Jacob Ewald's mental state during 2015, where the group had to cancel tour dates, his thoughts and feelings during these low points, and simply being at such a point where he doesn't give a shit about performing. Here the instrumentation takes a slower approach, with the bass guitar given more prominence, having a more noticeable presence and providing a good rhythm, and the guitars have a more rhythmic thing going on. The song Mass portrays the group touring the US and our lead missing his girl, and despite trying to subdue his loneliness with alcohol, he still pines for the simpler times that the two shared with one another. Again, similar story with the instrumentation. Constant rhythmic guitars, drums and bass are present. The song's theme is similar to the track Breathing in Stereo later on, highlighting the longing to be with the one you love, planning for the future, and the act of saying I love you to that person's face meaning more than by alternative means. There's a more prominent melody going on here which thankfully isn't overshadowed by the other guitars, slowing down in tempo beyond the halfway point, which gives the song much more appeal and charm. The track Everyday seems to be referring to a scenario where Jacob is driving home after having a night out with a female, probably a friend or love interest, in which she got immensely drunk and proceeded to get sick. He appears to get fed up and so he decides to leave her in her drunken stupor. Out of all the tracks, I'd say this one is my least favourite on the album. I'm not overly keen on the distortion of the guitars as they sound rather ugly and the pacing just feels kinda off for me. Plus the vocal delivery doesn't do anything for me and actually sounds kind of off key at some moments. Ewald's lyrical contribution comes to an end on the song Hiding, where he appears to be reflecting on the small things that have happened in his life after a session of drinking, entertaining these apparent insignificant moments before coming to the acceptance that it doesn't matter in the end, since one day he's going to die and none of these things will matter. Back is the acoustic guitar providing a constant melody, brief hints of synths, electric guitar and washed out drums before picking up in sound and energy near the end of the track. But again, the vocal performance doesn't do anything for me and the overall sound feels rather confused. Brendan's lyrical contribution begins on the next track, Coding These to Lukens, where he appears to have this inner conflict with himself, appearing to be full of self-doubt and battling with himself to not allow these thoughts to get the best of him. It's business as usual for the instrumentation, rhythm guitars, bass and drums with a noticeable melody going on. The next song, Apple Cider I Don't Mind, is a more melancholic reflection on the breakdown of previous relationships, the lack of trust between two people causing the breakdown of said relationship, and the questions that crop up when reflecting on what went wrong and whether the two can forgive and pick up where they left off or whether it's doomed to die. The bass guitar has a decent ongoing rhythm, the guitars are fine and there's more emphasis on the hi-hats on this track as well. The penultimate track, What If, paints the picture of our lead reflecting on his younger years and how he would seek praise through being a kind person, doing so only out of selfish gains as opposed to being a decent person, and how in turn he became self-gratifying and bitter if he received nothing out of doing so. It's a noisy-ish track, but I feel that the rhythms could have been tapered back just a little to give the melodies a little more breathing space. The final song, Just Another Face, reads as Lukens rooted in a deep depression, feeling worthless and a waste of space, recognising he needs help but doesn't want anyone around him to know of his mindset, realising in the chorus that he needs his friends in order to help him get through his dark days. The bass has a nice heavy quality going on, the distortion of electric guitar, unlike on Everyday, is welcome here, and the off-kilter noises matches with the tone of the lyrics rather well. Overall, I feel that this is a rather good emo style album. Compared to a previous emo album I listened to not that long ago from Pierce the Veil, an album I won't be talking about by the way, I feel this album to be rather downtrodden, but not in the sense that it makes me want to slit my wrists. Instead, I find this to be an an enjoyable project with decent instrumentation, the production for the most part is solid, and the lyrics delve into a more personal and inviting world that doesn't outstay its welcome. Unlike Pierce the Veil's latest project, which was so whiny and petulant that I got sick of it after the first listen. I do think the vocal performances can become rather testy at points, the instrumentation could be a little more varied, and some of the lyrics don't need to be as needlessly convoluted as on tracks like Every Day, but other than that, there's nothing overly offensive or awful about this project. Overall, I score this album a 76 out of 100.